You can't look at the division and the binary nature of everything and not believe that the two-party system isn't failing us. And that's why, another metric for you, more people are signing up as independents than those who want to be Democrat or Republican. I'm not saying there are more independents than those two parties, but I'm saying the rate of growth. You're seeing people are looking for something else, and that's what Andrew Yang sees. You know him. He ran for president and New York City mayor as a Democrat. The left loved him. They used to come after me all the time when I would interview you. Any checking I would do, they'd be like, let him speak. Now they want a piece of you because you started the Forward Party. He's got a book called Forward that you can get. It's a great read. You believe we need more parties. First of all, thank you for coming. Good to see you.
It's great to be here, Chris. I love the new studio. Independents actually do outnumber Democrats or Republicans in terms of self-identification. It's something like 50% independent, 28% Dem, and 23% Republican. So if you're an independent watching this at home, you literally do outnumber the two major parties. We actually have two minority parties that are running everything and driving us all crazy by trying to inflame us against each other.
Now, what is the latest in terms of who is joining the Forward Party?
Most of the early adopters have been independents, but there have been a lot of moderate Republicans who are frankly not into Trump, who've decided that the Forward Party is their natural home, and that includes folks like David Jolly, Christy Todd Whitman, Miles Taylor, who were trying to, frankly, keep the Republican Party heading in a better direction, and then at this point have said, you know what, we need actually a new party, the Forward Party, to help provide a home for folks who just want a better approach to our government.
So the Democrats say not the time. This is an existential crisis. This isn't about different ideas. This is about us and a party that wants to destroy the democracy. Not a time to dilute us. You will be a spoiler.
Well, what they're ignoring a lot of things. But number one, about 70% of the country is not contested by either party. So the race I'd call people's attention to, Evan McMullin in Utah. He's running for U.S. Senate. It's neck and neck. This is a state that Trump won by 20 points or so. So Democrats being like, oh, you're going to dilute the Democratic Party. The Democratic Party was not going to compete in Utah. It was not going to compete in the vast majority of the rural regions.
They actually cut a deal with McMullin. McMullin's running against Mike Lee. He did a very clever thing. He's a smart guy, Evan McMullin. I had him on the podcast. Andrew was on the podcast also. You can look it up. He made a deal with the Democrats not to run someone, even though he's not a Democrat, to run against Lee. So they're cutting deals, too.
Yeah, on the flip side, you and I are in New York City. This is a one-party town the other direction, and there are a lot of Republicans and independents who feel like they're on the outside looking in. The same is true in a place like California, where things, frankly, aren't running in a way that make a lot of people feel excited about what's happening in the Capitol. And so for those states, the Forward Party can provide an alternative the other direction. We're going to create more competition and dynamism, which is a win for all Americans, but it's also a win for people who just want things to work better in either party.
Now, three parties, do you believe that's the ideal?
I think ideally we'd have something like 5 or 6 parties. The Democratic Party of today should probably be 2 separate parties, and everyone at home knows what I'm talking about. Republican Party, same thing. There should be another party in the middle, maybe the Forward Party, and then that gets you to 5. Maybe you could have a 6th or a 7th, but that would be a more representative, rational, sustainable system that's resistant to authoritarianism. The fact is right now you have this 2-party system that is increasingly unrepresentative of reality, to the point of your of John Dick, where 63% of Americans do feel like they're not actually being represented by either major party.
Now, the catch for you is on the presidential level. How would the Forward Party be in play?
Well, the Forward Party right now is focused on the 506,000 local races around the country, including, again, 70% of which are uncontested. We're going to come out with our endorsements next week.
Explain what that means, by the way. When you say uncontested, what does that mean?
What it means is that there's a person running and they don't have any legitimate opponent, where sometimes it's literally like no opponent, just I'm on the ballot and no one else is. Other times it's someone else is on the ballot, but I'm going to win by 30, 40 points and no one takes it seriously. The fact is, at this point, 90% of the congressional districts around the country are uncompetitive in the general because the two major parties have carved the country up like a turkey. It said, like, you take that turf, I'll take this turf. And so when you show up to the ballot box, it's already a foreordained conclusion. That's one reason why so many Americans are ticked off and frustrated, because they sense that their vote actually doesn't mean much within this 2-party system that has essentially divvied us up into opposing camps and tried to stifle competition in the vast majority of districts.
In terms of the platform, that's another knock you take. They'll say, this is just your party. This is just another way of you having your own power base. The party's not about anything. What do people get if they sign up with your party versus the ones on the right and left?
The Forward Party stands for three things: free people, thriving communities, and a vibrant democracy. And when I say those three things, you have to reflect, why do we not feel like we're getting those things right now? Certainly people feel constrained. Most communities are surviving, barely not thriving. And a lot of folks feel like our democracy is hanging by a thread. The way we get these three things is by actually trying to upgrade and modernize our democratic system that's disintegrating in front of our eyes.
So what would you put in place if you had people in power?
Well, first, we'd actually turn to facts and results, not what's going to win a press cycle or certainly a social media cycle, where the problem in American life today is that by all the core measurements, life expectancy, public education, clean water, we're 31st in the world and declining, and that's been happening under both parties. The problem is that what's happening in our communities has less and less relationship with our political representatives. And we sense that. It's making us crazy. And we keep being told, no, you know who's to blame? The other guys, whatever the heck that means. In large part because most media organizations, and you and I know this well, actually at this point are benefiting and profiting from one narrative or the other and polarizing us, trying to put us in these opposing tribes. So the way out is trying to rebuild that connection between what's happening to us and our families and our communities with the folks who are supposed to represent us.
Give me a yes/no on three things quickly, and then I'll let you go. First one, term limits for Congress, yes or no?
Yes.
Okay. Ranked choice voting, yes or no?
Ranked choice voting is the key to get us out of this mess. Heck yes.
All right. I'm doing a segment on it, what ranked choice voting means and why it helps create more consensus. Third one, you running again?
My goal is to build this party into something that can actually transform and improve our politics over the long haul. So I'm focused on institution building, which has been a lot of fun.
I said yes, no.
Obviously, I gave something of a more involved answer.
Andrew Yang, thank you very much. I appreciate you. I
Chris,
really do.
Great to be here, man.
We'll keep talking. I'll bring you on when it matters, and I really look forward to it. Thank you, Andrew.
Thank you.